Welcome to the Candy Shop Show. This is November 4th, 2015, and we've got a great show coming up for you. Thank you. Special treats for those who call in live.
Candy, you're far away. Candy, you're far away, and you just disappeared a minute.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So we'll start with the let's see. Is Peter on there? Is Peter here? Or Joan? Okay.
They said they were going to call in, but I guess maybe they didn't.
All right.
Okay, Candy, it's set to *6. People can come in, or do you want me to unmute everybody?
Well, that's fine. Folks, if you want to make a comment or something. Daniel, can you hear me? Daniel? I guess, Daniel, you'd better unmute everybody then.
Hello, I'm here now. Can you hear me now?
All right. Elizabeth, would you like to say, would you call in the star beings and all our friends in spirit and say the law of one for the highest good of all concerned tonight?
Okay. Well, we call in the divine flame of living love. We call in collective consciousness. We call in our spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, and mental bodies. And we call in all the great masters in the book of Oahspe that are for the highest good of all concerned. We call in our galactic brothers and sisters from every time, space, and dimension here on Earth and in this universe. And we thank you all for coming. We call the 360 angels that are assigned to each degree around this earth, especially in astrology now. We call in especially the angels of abundance and the angels of good fortune. We ask you to initiate us and give us strategy, wisdom, knowledge, and abundance. We call in the beings that have higher vibrations of happiness and peace that can initiate us. We ask for initiation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you all for coming. And those ETs that really want to participate with us tonight, in us and through us, the speakers and Candy and all of us, come now. Thank you, thank you. We just say we are all one. And when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. So therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all that there is, I ask that only the highest good of all concerned happen in this conversation tonight with signs, wonders, and miracles wrapped in maximum efficiency, minimum effort, and wrapped in supreme happiness. And we ask for only the highest good of all concerned for all others in the purity of heart, awakening the world. So be it, so it is, and thank you that this is done.
Thank you, Elizabeth Noble Diamond. Well, this is great, and I'm going to give our webmaster the title for the show. I think Daniel's going to give some great information. We should put this one up on YouTube, and so. Any of you who have been developing and opening your third eye and want to do a little bilocating and seeing the spirits that are coming to our individual homes and together to bless this show tonight, please tune in to what message they might have to say or comment on what Daniel's going to share from the Oahspe. The Candy Jar segment, my goodness, things are happening in spiritual and physical forms, and I'm sitting in Springfield, Missouri tonight. I've decided, where I live is quite rural and unpopulated, and I wanted to go and connect with folks, so I've been at the Law of Attraction meeting with 40 folks that are working on their spiritual path tonight, and I got a chance to show some of Lance's spiritual paintings of the Oahspe symbol and sacred geometry, and I was quite well received. I've been invited to come back to Springfield Saturday. I'm going to be giving an all-day workshop on summarizing all the things that we've been doing on the Diamond Network shows 4 nights a week for many weeks. And appreciate what Sunny Holmes and Dale Blumet did again last night on their regular Tuesday night show. So, one, we always recommend, if you want to hear about worldly things, to tune in to the YouTube channel by Benjamin Fulford. And he sure had a lot of amazing things to say this week, as he does every Monday, and talking about that the evidence was that Israel shot down the Russian passenger plane, and with the universal law, this gives Russia the legal right to make a response, and so I'm so excited.
And Benjamin Fulford Report is blogged on the Diamonds blog, you guys, always. Yeah, go ahead.
Right, yes, Diamonds Forever 31.blogspot.com. And so this great new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Joseph Dunford, has conferred with Putin, and they've agreed to put in a naval blockade and an airspace blockade over Israel in retaliation to this horrible massacre that they committed last weekend. We did a lot of work on our show Monday night to do a lot of healing in Australia, and that was wonderful opportunity. And we're doing a lot of healing with people's pets with the work of Christopher Stephen Jacobs, and we're very interested in as the world governments pull down the financial situation and the dollar, that the bitcoins are going to become more and more popular. And if anyone wants to invest in bitcoins, now is the time. Don't wait for 6 more months. They'll be too high priced. For those of you who wish to have a few, it's important not to be scammed by these electronic money situations. And you need to buy your bitcoins with somebody in person with cash. And often people meet like in Panera Bread or someplace like that. So you go to the website localbitcoms.com and find out who in your city are selling bitcoins, and so it's quite interesting. Okay, well, it's a shame. It's shocking, all the cracks in the western USA, the earthquakes, the tornadoes. Mother Earth is cleansing herself, and so it's an amazing world, and people are saying that we'll hardly recognize what's going on in 3 months from now. It'll be so different. Well, listen, let's look back at the foundation and the prophecies from years ago when we got help to make progress here on Earth. And I'm going to close off the Candy Jar segment and ask Daniel Nealand if he would come forward and bring what he'd like to share with us tonight.
Okay.
Daniel, take it away.
Yeah, I guess most of the people on the teleconference didn't get the email about the subject or the text. I know probably Michael and Sonny might have.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So that pretty well, and I think the other people on Elizabeth and is it Beverly? Is Beverly still around?
Oh, yeah, she's there. She's probably self-muted.
Okay. I don't know if she's familiar with Oahspe or not. But anyway, we're still. This is kind of an ongoing weekly leisurely journey through the text of Oahspe. That's what I've been doing for quite a while now.
Can you just give an overview of what Oahspe is? Is it like a book, like the Bible, or what? Just like
it's a book. It was a book that was published in 1882, and it was received by a guy named John Ballou Newborough, who was evidently a high-ranking Mason. And it was sort of received in automatic writing fashion, and it's actually it's probably bigger than War and Peace. It's like a 1,000-page tome that he received from, according to him, he received it direct from the highest angelic sources that work for the creative spirit that creates and sustains the universe. And in Oahspe, that being is usually referred to as Jehovah. Some people say, but Jehovah is an old name, and also Aeolin, and there are several other names even given in Oahspe, but they say that the name is not important. It's the reality of the living lucid being that is behind the creation and sustaining of the universe. And the interesting thing that Oahspe proposes, which was written down by Newborough, is that there is an angelic network that spans the universe that is directly, at its highest levels, is directly linked to the Creator.
I was wondering.
And then there are various, levels down from that. And so, according to Oahspe, the objective universe is mainly supramaterial, and our lives are mainly supramaterial. So we actually start living after we die to the mortal plane, and then we live on for.
Daniel, let me excuse you. There's some here that don't understand how to use their phones, and can we mute the audience and can you do a *6 if we can't hear you?
Daniel.
What?
So if I mute the audience, all you have to do on your phone when I mute you, all you have to do on your phone when I tell you is hit the little star on your phone, *6, and it'll unmute you. You know the star on your phone, star?
Right. Yeah.
*6. Wait until I tell you to do it, okay? Just hold on. Let me set the room.
Okay, and then we can test whether you can still hear me.
Okay, Daniel, *6.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
There you go. You did it. Yay.
Oh, and then anybody who wants to ask a question, I guess they can do the same thing, or?
Yep, and I got the audience opened up, so anybody that ever wants to come in on just *6, it'll be unmuted and say, hey, Candy, or hey, Daniel. And could you spell Oahspe, too? And this is great for doing an overview, so when it goes out to YouTube, people can listen to something new.
Okay, it's spelled Oahspe.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as I was mentioning, the metaphysical universe of Oahspe is one where human beings are on various planets around the universe, on various material planets, and that's where they're born. But then they die and begin their life in eternity afterwards as potentially sentient beings. And this happens throughout the universe, and it's actually a part of a sort of evolutionary system that starts with the creator of the universe, who doesn't have any body, and works through the angelic beings. And also, we are destined to become, according to Oahspe, we're destined to become angelic beings and help with the work of creating and sustaining the universe. And that's really our whole purpose for existence. And so, basically, we continue to evolve. And in the beginning, according to Oahspe, we just stay here right around the planet Earth. And there are various purgatorial levels around the planet Earth, depending on your level of awareness and achievement or whatever. You can be at one level or the other, and you can also die and be totally clueless, and that's actually probably the lowest level. But as you if you pass further, and especially become good at helping other people and working in a constructive way, then you're eligible to enter the Oahspe Angelic Network. But there's a lot going on in the what Oahspe calls atmosphere, which surrounds the Earth. And that's like an astral level that travels with the Earth. And they call it atmosphere. It's kind of malleable, and so you can make various appearances look real and what have you. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. But at some point, according to Oahspe, the heaven around the earth is for both imbeciles and highly evolved beings. But at some point, when you get really highly evolved, you get beyond the earth. You're eligible to sort of graduate into the angelic network that creates and maintains and does the work of the creator in the universe. And all planets, all material planets go through stages of evolution whereby they try to get the mortal beings to become more and more suitable for the work that they're going to be needing to do afterward throughout the universe. And so Oahspe tells about something well over 50,000 years of history, mainly centered on the heavens around the earth, and what has been going on there, which I've never seen that anywhere else. And according to Oahspe, the earth evolves through periods of relative spiritual light and spiritual darkness. So, and that's a part of trying to evolve. The light part is good because then you can hear or psychically sense the highest vibrations pretty clearly, but it results in people not being able to be responsible for themselves. So the other end of that is they want to create strong beings that don't just depend on somebody else. And so, according to Oahspe, the earth has been sent through periods of light and darkness, and during the dark period, people build up the form of themselves more, and that makes them in a way stronger and more independent. But unfortunately, they kind of lose the reception of the higher reality, and do all kinds of horrible things to each other, which is still happening today. But anyway, it goes through periods of light and darkness, and at the end, which is where we are now, there's a period called Cosmon, which is a period of light and darkness at the same time. And that's where we're at today. Is everybody still getting what I'm talking about?
We're still here.
Okay. So that's the basic schematic in Oahspe, is spiritual evolution of beings. We start out here on the earth, and then hopefully we evolve to take our place in the creation and maintenance of the universe as angelic beings. So
you did a wonderful job, Daniel, and our listeners on YouTube and otherwise, be aware that it's Oahspe is free online to download or to just Google Oahspe and whatever word you'd like to see what Oahspe has to say about love or wisdom or Persia or anything. So, Pan, so go ahead with your program for tonight. You worked on this a month ago, and you'll be back December 2nd to continue. But let's hear what you've got for November 4th.
Okay, so we've been when we started out, we've just been kind of going through the actually even just the first part of Oahspe, and I've been talking for many months, probably years now, about what goes on in the heavens, and that's one of the distinguishing features about Oahspe, that has a lot of very specific information about what goes on in the astral realms, both in the heavens around the earth and also in the heavens that are beyond the earth and which are part of the universe. So that's one of the distinguishing features. I don't think there's any other book like it that goes into the kind of detail that Oahspe goes into. And in the chapter we're talking about tonight, we've been on for a while, which is the high-raised angel. I kind of neglected to mention that during these ages of darkness that are followed by ages of light, when the ages of light roll around, the angelic beings that are really high up in the angelic hierarchy visit the earth and try to straighten everything out and get people sort of back on track with the faith in the Creator and what have you. And so they kind of come and clean things up, and then they go away again after that. But they always leave somebody in charge. So the angelic being who's in charge of the whole earth is always called God, but he's just the local God of the earth, and that's not the same as the Creator. So he's just here as an appointee or what have you, to try to get things to go as well as possible during the period that he's appointed for, which is usually several centuries. But every 3,000 years ago, they send down some really high-raised angelic being who is incredibly powerful, and he comes with a host of other angelic beings, and they try to straighten things out. So at the part that we're talking about tonight, this high-raised angelic being called Fragapati, and I think he is from a certain section of the universe, and he comes down here with his host, and he's been traveling around straightening things out. And the part we're talking about tonight, he gets to North America. And in Oahspe, the Americas are called Gautama, the same as the Gautama Buddha, Gautama. And so Fragapati is visiting in the heaven that is over North America or North Gautama, and he is finding out what's been going on there while during the last period of darkness. And it turns out that an appointee of the god over the earth, this appointee is called Yatante, and he's been trying to figure out how to arouse the spirits of people after death to wake up and start following the light. And he's having a terrible time because, according to Oahspe, when you live on the earth and you just die, you don't necessarily know what you're doing or where you're going unless you have gotten some education or been involved in some highly moral enterprise, or somehow sort of been awakened to the light of being good and what have you. So in the old days, and I imagine this is probably still true today to some extent, there were humans on the earth, and they just sort of lived, and they ate food every day, and they went to sleep, and they died, but they really didn't know much about the things that make up eternal life. So when they went to the next level after death, they were pretty much idiots. And in this particular part of Oahspe, it's talking about it accumulated in North America to 3,000 million spirits, or 3 billion spirits, were vagrants, just wandering around. They had no association, no gods, no lords. They were perpetual migrants, except some that dwelt with people as familiar spirits. And so they were, it says, they were out without clothes or drapery of any kind and devoid of shame. And they weren't good or evil, but they didn't have any desire for or knowledge of anything, being content to rove about and to sleep and eat. And they had no knowledge of a higher realm that they should be aspiring to. They were just there and kind of taking up space. So Yatante, who is the appointee of the god of the earth, is trying to figure out how to wake all these people up and wake them up to the afterlife and get them to start evolving and doing things. And so he tries several different things, and none of them work. He tries to get them to make clothes for themselves, because this is a way to get them interested in, creating something and what have you. But they don't really care about it. And it says the ones that we taught how to do that, they just soon took off their clothes and started wandering around again. It didn't really spark them to any kind of interest in anything. And they did music and all kinds of other stuff, but they were so dim mentally that they would just forget about what they'd heard or the music that they had heard or whatever, and just go back to being sort of yokels that didn't really do anything. So finally, he decides that the best way to do is to create sort of a fake heaven and to give them lots of adventures, the same kind of things that they had on Earth, but a lot more interesting and exciting and fun. And maybe that way he can kind of wake them up to the fact that they're dead and they're entering the afterlife. So in the process of that, the high-raised angels create what's called the happy hunting ground. And they, it's evidently, from what I can gather from the text, it's a location that is created by the high-raised angels for the amusement of these wandering spirits to try to wake them up. And it's not real. And this is one of the questions that I had about the whole scheme that is portrayed in Oahspe, because I guess it's my understanding from a period of study that, for instance, a forest on the earth or a plant on the earth has a field around it that is real. So that there is an image in the afterlife of the actual real forests on the earth. And they talk in Oahspe about beings like fairies and what have you that go and live in different places, like around a waterfall or in a cave or something like that. And so it seems that level is already there. And that's not what they're talking about with this happy hunting ground. This happy hunting ground is a totally different creation. That's it's sort of like I get the impression that in a sense it's sort of like an amusement park, but with forests and animals and birds and everything that is really good for the people that died that were on Earth to go and sort of have a good time and run around and hunt and fish and do all kinds of fun things. And while they're doing that, he says that they can go there, but they have to start wearing clothes and doing other civilized things. So, according to Oahspe, this plateau, created by the angelic beings and made habitable, covering a large portion of North America, or North Gautama. And
Daniel,
yeah.
You said hunting, but I think you mean more like games and shooting contests with their bow and arrows and things.
Well, it says that it's. I'm just reading out of the text. It says it'll be people with forests and lakes and rivers and with all manner of animals and birds and fish and whatever is suitable food for mortals. So they're not expecting it's like if we go back in history, this is, of course, quite a long time ago, nearly 10,000 years ago. But they didn't necessarily, the plan evidently for North America was not to have everybody be vegetarians. And so the Native Americans, as far as, we know, of course, we can go fairly back with their own tribal histories and know that they did hunt deer and other animals and eat them. So the impression I get from this is that the happy hunting ground is pretty similar to that, so that I think they do get to actually hunt animals. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm getting from the text.
Okay, all right.
They're evidently they're really fake animals, because it's saying that everything is pretty well sustained by these high-raised angels. In other words, this is like a great sort of magical effort. So these beings they're not the ones that came from Earth. They're animals and birds and fish and things that they created specially for this happy hunting ground. And it says in the text that if the higher angels sort of withdrew their support of all this, then it would just kind of disintegrate and go back to just astral matter. So these are artificial creations.
Right. And of course, most of us who read Oahspe in this day and age don't eat animals, and I really appreciated Del Blume having a whole show devoted on the Voices of an Alternative World to veganism, vegetarianism last week. Well,
yeah.
Carry on with your report there about.
Does anybody have any questions so far? I guess if you want to ask a question or make a comment, feel free to hit *6, and you'll be unmuted and you can say something. Because basically what I do with these things is I try to set the text out and then kind of discuss it with people, because people may have different views than me, and I'm certainly open to that. I'm just trying to kind of puzzle these things out. So anybody's views or questions are welcome. I'm not just talking for the sake of talking. I'm trying to kind of understand these things myself.
Sorry, Daniel. I pressed the wrong. By accident. *6, Daniel. I was carrying my phone. Sorry, Candy.
Okay.
Great. Well, let's go on. I don't think there's any questions. Let's just go on then, Daniel.
Okay.
Hold on.
So,
Sonny, did you have one?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify what you were just saying about.
Yeah, could you speak louder and closer to the phone?
I got to get off my speakerphone. I keep forgetting about that. You were saying that this plateau was created to enable these beings on Earth, these beings in physical form, or are they astral beings?
It's created for people that died on the Earth and were kind of wandering around after they died, evidently not hardly knowing that they were dead, so they weren't really awakened to the afterlife.
Okay, they're astral beings, right?
Yeah, it's not created for for the people on the Earth. I mean, we know from today, all the Indians had legends of the happy hunting ground. So evidently, once it got established, then when they were alive, they were really looking forward. Hey, we're dead, we can go to the happy hunting ground. So that probably was a lot better connection. But this is before. At this point, that this was the beginning of the happy hunting ground, so they had to sort of entice people to go there and make it attractive to them, and then of course they would convey that information back to the mortals and say, "Hey, guess what? When you die, you can go to the happy hunting ground and have a good time."
It got them off the Earth. It gave them something to do as kind of a transitionary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To get going. It kind of reminds me in a very funny way of when you hear about Valhalla and things like that. Other sort of maybe those other things are also artificial heavens. So I can't imagine that they were created by the Jehovians, because Valhalla, I think, you get to fight, and I think they're into that. But anyway, it's kind of similar.
Daniel, and of course, for our listeners who haven't read Oahspe, of course, the goal of the angelic beings is to help us form brotherhoods to help other beings, help other beings in the unseen world and on the physical world. Just like the Diamond Network is like a brotherhood pulling together to help the universe. But these beings that you're talking about, they're too dumb to even know. They can't even help themselves yet.
Yeah, this is a long time, a very long. I hope there aren't. If I'm sure there's people, maybe not on this call, but people have read Carl Wickland's 30 Years Among the Dead.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was like by a doctor who his wife was evidently a psychic medium. And they would invite, somehow she would get in contact with people who had died, and they would come and speak through her. But they weren't like the so-called enlightened beings or anything. They were just like regular yokels who had died. And so quite often they wouldn't know that they were dead. And they'd be saying, "Where the heck am I around here?" And the spirits that were trying to communicate to them to wake them up evidently couldn't even get through to them. And this is sort of similar to what they're talking about here. It's like unless you have some sort of education about what's going to be coming afterwards, you're kind of clueless when you pass over into the life after this one. And that's what happened.
Dr. Carl Wickland's book is excellent, 30 Years Among the Dead, written before World War II. And for people who haven't, looked into, what happens after you die, it's a good intro. But go ahead with your story.
And so, and this is another interesting thing. They mentioned the word in Oahspe. There's this word drujas, which means dark spirits, and it's really it seems in this particular text here the key to the what they're talking about, the drujas, is not, they're not like actively evil beings. They're just these clueless, imbecilic beings. And that's what they mean most of the time when they're talking about the dark spirits. It's sort of like to be an evil spirit, you have to be a level above the drujas, because the drujas are totally clueless, and they don't really even know what they're doing. So this is to kind of wait.
We call the evil ones anti-Jehovian angels or archons. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So, but that's what it says about. It says, and also it mentions that the importance of fulfilling a life on Earth. You know, when you live here, you pick up certain things that are really important for the afterlife. So it mentions that the beings that don't get to live a full life here are really kind of at a disadvantage when they are born into the afterlife. So that I thought that was kind of interesting. It says this one paragraph says, "To the spirits of mortals who die in infancy, I give spiritual eyes and spiritual ears, but without cultivation, they don't hear corporeal or physical things. But the spirits who have fulfilled an earth life, I create them to see and hear after death the matters of both worlds, both the spiritual and the physical." So they're capable of doing that, according to this. And then it talks in the next part, after it talks about this, sort of dull Drusha thing and trying to wake up, then it talks about how it says they use mirrors and lenses. And here's what it says in that paragraph. "And you shall create mirrors and lenses and optical illusions and delusions and provide games and entertainments for them so that their understanding may be opened up for the glory of my heavenly kingdoms." So that's what they're doing. Evidently, they have some kind of, besides just spirit power, they have some sort of technology that they use to create this illusory, subjective, astral amusement park world. And it says that they witness the tournaments and games and the boating and fishing and hunting and all the other entertainments representative of what these angels had been engaged in mortal life, and yet these things were but subjective and not real. So, but it came to pass that many Drushas, or dull heads, were restored to memory of their earth life, restored to seeing and hearing, and in fact to know they had entered another world, illustrating to their dull senses that it was possible for them to learn to see things and so hear things understandingly. So evidently, according to texts, this was successful in waking up a lot of spirits, and they remembered who they were and who they'd been on the earth, and were able to get back on track. So that's the basics of what it has to say about the happy hunting grounds. Any other questions about all that? Is anybody still there?
Oh, we're all here.
Okay.
We're here.
Okay. So that's about the what I got out of that particular text, is that this particular strategy at that time was successful. And they said then later on, let's see, where did that go? It said that this particular, the happy hunting ground, let's see if I can find that text, would actually, they would actually last all the way up into the dawn of Cosman, which is now. So that was in here somewhere, that they mentioned that this particular mode of being would continue until the present time. So I got to take a break and use the restroom real quick. So could you guys just take over while I'm gone?
Okay, Daniel, that's
okay.
Fine. Oh, that's okay. Well, listen, most of us are senior citizens and can understand that. But of course, Daniel was using the word real and unreal, and as Oahspe explains, part of the heavens are mostly objective. But there are the subjective heavens as well, the unreal in one sense. So I think most of the folks on this call understand that when we go to heaven, it's just like, we just go through a portal. Everything is like it is right now. I mean, we have tables and chairs and beds. We don't have to sleep 12 hours out of the day. We can just take a cat nap if we feel like it. But it's real. Things are very objective. And Susan, what would you have to say about this?
What that Daniel has said so far?
Yes.
Okay, I believe that he's been very interesting, and it's been a while since I read the Oahspe, but he started bringing up a lot of information here. I've been writing it down, and very interesting. And let's see, yeah. And I wanted to know more about the Bitcoins, or should I bring it up at this time?
That's okay. Yeah, the Bitcoins. A lot of us use PayPal, and we're familiar.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Electronic money like PayPal cards and stuff.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin is loosely like that, and so.
Oh, okay.
People, I think if people would go on YouTube and say something like, what is a Bitcoin? How do you buy it? How do you use it to buy things? And can you buy food with a Bitcoin? And stuff like that. You'll find YouTubes that explain.
Oh, okay.
That.
All right. Well, I'll start to look that up.
It's an alternative.
I hold my Bitcoins at the website called Circle.com. So I have my account that holds my Bitcoins at Circle.com. And I'm just going to be buying them for a while until I really need them. It's almost like, gold. You don't want to spend your gold or silver coins every day.
Oh, okay.
You want to hold them for the future when it might be really necessary.
Do you have them, Candy? Bitcoins?
Yes, I do.
Do you like it?
Well, I'm just learning about it, but I'm glad that I got some. I'm glad I am learning. I'm glad that the speaker on Elizabeth's calls encouraged me to get involved with Bitcoin.
It's like commodities or buying stock. It sounds like because they go up in price. But I don't think they're not traded on the stock market or anything like that. No, they're apart from the regular economy. Is what my understanding is.
Yeah.
Right.
But they still aren't really an alternative currency if they go up in price so that most people can't afford them, right?
Oh, is that right? My goodness.
Sounds like one is now cost $400-something, he said, and in the past it was very cheap.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's like buying a commodity or something that's going to, like buying gold or something like that.
Sonny, do you have them? Bitcoin?
No, I haven't. I'm just learning about it myself, but I can't really afford to buy them anyway.
Yeah,
at that price,
Yeah, that is quite a bit.
I'm just learning it. I thought they were an alternative currency,
Yeah.
Well, they are an alternative electronic currency, but most people don't buy a whole coin. They just buy a portion of a coin, like a penny or 2 pennies.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a whole coin. I don't have $450 in Bitcoin. I don't have that much. I have like a few pennies.
That's interesting.
A fraction of a Bitcoin.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, there you are.
And,
go back 10,000 years again.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Okay, we're
Daniel, before you go on, what part of the book, what chapter are you talking? What's the title?
This Fragga Patty, chapter 20 and 21.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
I put out an email on it on Monday because I was out of town Tuesday and I just got back today.
Oh, well, I didn't get it.
After a long drive. Yeah, I put it out in that Faith is Society, email group.
Oh, okay.
I saw it on that. Yeah.
And I'll probably continue doing that as long as I keep doing this.
Oh, okay. All right. That sounds good. Well, I've enjoyed what you've told us.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting chapter when they talk about creating this sort of delusionary, subjective world that's got everything that our world has, but it's only subjective. Now, here's the part that I want to read about it, because they talk about creating not just the subjective worlds, but other things too. And it goes into eternal life. According to Oahspe, eternal life is only possible to sentient beings, which are like humans, at the human level here and elsewhere in the universe. Of course, there's multiple planets that have the same kind of scheme that we do, and that's the whole purpose of according to Oahspe, the purpose of the planets is to raise up people like us that can become angelic beings and help out with the universe. Anyway, but it says in this one section, this is in Fragapati chapter 21, it says, to thee only, man, have I given the power to aggregate the spiritual entity. And what it means by that is that we're self-sustaining. In other words, when we die, we're still there, and we know we're there, and we keep being there by awareness of our own identities to go on. But that is not, according to Oahspe, that is not possible with the animals that are below the human level. And it says, for animals I bestowed like a vessel that is full of water. No more can be put into them. And also, when the vessel is destroyed, the water runs back to the ocean. I quicken them into life by my own hand, but when I take away my hand, lo, they are gone back into dissolution. But to thee, O man, I gave power for everlasting life. So this is a kind of an interesting, piece of information, or this is what Oahspe claims. And the next part says, as a man may take a drop of water and put it into a vial and keep it for a long time, so have I given to my exalted angels power to take the spirit of a fish or an animal, suddenly dead, and reclothe it with the substance of a body for a season. And yet it is only a subjective existence. And even as the man let the stone out of his hand and it falls to the ground, so when my angels let go their hand on my spiritual animals, their spirits fall into the sea of my body and are seen no more. Even so also, but in less degree, created I the trees, the grass, the moss, and all vegetable things that grow on the face of the earth. In other words, they grow till they die, and then when they die on the earth, they pretty well die in the heavens as well. And the angelic beings can make it last a little bit longer, evidently after death, for some specific purpose. But as soon as they stop attending to it, then it goes away. And he said, this particular paragraph, to my exalted gods, I gave power to do the same things, not with one plant only, but with whole forests and with animals and fishes and serpents. And when they do these things in atmospheria, they are called subjective heavens. So that is, once again, is quite a lot more information than you get from the average spiritual text about or what life after death is like and how it all works. Any comments on that, or?
Well, that's absolutely true. That's why I love Oahspe, is because the details of what it is that we're going to do after we
pass through this earthly life.
Yeah, and there are other views.
Daniel.
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel?
Yes.
Could you go again on your description of a subjective heaven?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about a something that was. It was. It's not the same as the. I was mentioning before, because this was something that puzzled me. Because of the previous things that I've learned, and I've got I've seen some evidence for it that that say a tree right outside my door right now, there is a field that is generated for that tree that actually makes it alive. So I basically that the field was what holds the identity of a living thing in place. But that field has a limited lifetime, and there's a certain time. And if you've ever, once again, this is one of my favorite quotes from the Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain, where they did the Kirlian photography experiment, and they took a leaf of a plant, and they started cutting away sections of the leaf. And when they did that, and they photographed it using the Kirlian photography technique, they saw the field of the leaf that actually went over the part that was missing out of the leaf. So the leaf was still whole in terms of the field of light, and all the little veins and things in the leaf. You could actually see them in the photograph over where there should have been nothing. In other words, the part they cut out of the leaf, the field was still there, went right across the space that was cut out.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting. That was one of my favorite sections of that book. And then when the plant, they cut out more of the leaf than the plant could sustain.
Yeah.
Then the field began to fade. So out, and then the leaf turned brown. So the leaf didn't turn brown till after the field went away. And what that suggests to me is that the field is what holds the life force, the vital energy, or whatever it is in the plant. It's a field phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
And when they finally cut away too much of the plant, the field went. And then after that, the plant the leaf turned brown and died.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Well, and the word field and vortexia and astral body is kind of interchangeable words, I think. Was there a gentleman who had a comment? I thought someone else had a question or comment.
So anyway, to continue with what I was saying with Sonny, so that level is sort of real, and it's here. And like I say, they mentioned Oahspe, that some beings when they die, they evidently just wander around on the earth among the counterparts of the physical things that are here, and they don't really progress any further or go anywhere. And according to Oahspe, some of the legends of elves and fairies are like that. They just kind of live in our natural world, but they live on the astral level. But these particular special places that's talking about here with the happy hunting ground are a totally different creation. That's what I get out of this text anyway. So they actually build this up. They're sort of using their creative angelic powers to actually generate a whole forest or a whole realm, and keep it in existence as long as they want, but they want it to be there.
Yeah, very interesting.
And like I say, I can't find the passage in here, but it says that this particular phenomenon of the happy hunting ground is supposed to have continued right up until the beginning of Cosmin. That's what it says in here somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I can't find the quote right now, but it's here somewhere.
Yeah. Happy hunting ground.
Yeah, and it says the great hunting fields and places of tournaments where thousands and thousands of drujas or dull spirits were being amused and instructed and awakened to their condition and their possibilities.
Oh. Okay.
And of course, Cosmos started in 1848.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What year was that, Candy?
1848.
1848. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they, so evidently this happy hunting ground that they created way back then, they continued to maintain it for quite a while, and I don't know if that means that they kept maintaining it after 1848, or usually I don't think they just end up and wrap up.
Well, I think I think when the Indians stopped riding their ponies across the America is probably when they stopped. They probably didn't stop or dissolve the happy hunting grounds until 1900 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, who knows? I certainly don't.
This is an interesting discussion. Was there another topic you wanted to bring, or are we going to?
This is pretty much it for this week. I pretty well got through everything that was in this particular.
Well, Daniel, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very good.
Yeah, once again, it's quite a fascinating series of passages on that about because no other book that I know on talks about the astral world at this kind of level. In terms of what they create and how they go about it and things like that. So it's quite interesting.
And when I read things from the Hopi prophecy and things, there's nothing that really contradicts the Oahspe and vice versa from various Indian stories as well.
Right.
Well, next week, I wonder if Peter or Joan is online. Usually they take the second week.
Yeah, I know. They were kind of confused, I think, now because they thought.
Okay. We'll just have a break.
I know you put out a message that you were going to stop doing this in December, and I think that some of the rest of us may just carry on doing the Oahspe thing, but not associated with you, but we'll probably keep doing it in some fashion. But anyway, they thought they were not going to be doing it even through December. So they didn't, that must be why they didn't call in or something.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So y'all aren't going to be meeting in December, okay?
Yeah. That's what Andy's email said.
We're going to work on that. We want to see the reports as to how many, came online and everything, and we'll be discussing that more. But the Candy Shop shows will continue every Wednesday on this particular phone line, and we'll continue to have some interesting.
If we do the Oahspe thing, we'll just continue with our own phone number.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well,
all right.
I think that this has been a great show, and we
it sure has been.
The people who listen to it on YouTube will appreciate it as well, and folks are welcome to contact me. My email is keytotruth@yahoo.com, and any questions or comments about anything you've heard, you're always welcome to reach me at keytotruth.com, and if you have suggestions for speakers. I wondered if there was any psychics online tonight that wanted to comment, if they've gotten any messages from the fairies or the elves or some of the people that were involved.
So could you spell out your email address again, Candy, because I don't think I've got that.
Oh, okay. It's key 2, that's a digit 2, truth.
Key to truth?
Key to truth.
Key, like Key.
Oh. Yes.
To truth.
At Yahoo.
At yahoo.com. Okay. All right. Okay, now I got it.
Did you want to give out your contact information in case anyone wanted to contact you further about this?
Oh, well, they can probably just do it with the Oahspe Faith Society email.
Okay, or they can just send a message to me and I'll forward it to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I can give you. I don't mind giving out my email address.
Okay.
It's D, if you're ready. It's sort of DAN, like Dan, right? YIL at PacBell, PACBELL.net.
At PacBell?
Yeah, PacBell. You know the old phone company, Pacific Bell? So
Would you spell that? Daniel, would you spell it?
Yeah, PAC as in Pacific, right? Pac.
Yeah.
BELL as in bell that rings. PacBell. .net.
Okay.
Okay. All
And
right.
it's
Well, thank you guys
ANYL.
so much.
All the Daniels were taken, so I had to change it to DANYIL.
Oh, thanks, Candy and Daniel.
Okay. And the Diamond Network show will be on Astrology tomorrow night. It'll start an hour earlier than tonight. And hope everybody has a great weekend. And send me great vibes on Saturday when I try to for 6 hours and explain all this to everybody in Springfield, Missouri. That's a wrap.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good evening. Good evening.
Are you looking for healing or a change in your life to help you enjoy it more fully? You might benefit from a galactic energy reading and clearing from Chris Jacobs. Chris will work with you on a soul level to clear unseen negative influences, implants, programs, contracts, and energetic blocks. Chris Jacobs is a gifted energy healer. Contact him today at ChristopherStephenJacobs@gmail.com.